Hello and welcome back. I'm Joe, and this is a test for Workers and Resources Soviet Republic. Today we're going to answer the question if some trucks are better than other trucks. First, I want to address something, and you can skip for the next minute probably if you don't want to hear this, but this video exists because you called me out on being wrong, and that's great. Please keep doing that. Don't take anything I say for granted. What I say is just an inspiration, maybe hopefully for you, for doing a test, for understanding the game a little better, for questioning the game, for questioning me, anything at all. And last time I said a couple things about the distribution office setup that are simply not fair to the distribution office, because the distribution office can do really well if, and only if, trucks make a difference. If you can use a smaller truck to deliver some things that only have a small volume versus a bigger truck to deliver some things that have a small volume, if there's a difference, then yes, the distribution office can be super efficient. But I don't have the answer for that, and that's what we're going to test today. To the setup. Pretty simple. We have 4 different trucks, all covered holds, that are going to be very similar. We have the FZK A07 covered hull, has a 54 kilowatt engine power. Currently the fuel capacity is, or the fuel is in the tank, 56 liters. The max capacity is about 280. Then it has an empty weight of 1.35 tons. Right next to it, the same one. Next to that one, the next size up with a capacity of 3.6 tons of crops. The first one only had a 0.8. Engine power of 73, the fuel in the tank is 75, and the max tank is 380 liter, plus the empty weight is 5.5 tons. The speed is 60 kilometers, the maximum speed on the FZK is 90. Then we move over, again, there's the same one next to it, because each of them gets two setups. The next one over here is the Skoda 706 RT, with an engine power of 118, a max speed 62, and a fuel capacity of 122, plus the empty weight is 6 tons, and it can carry up to 5.6 tons. Very nice. Right next to it, the bigger brother, which, here's a surprise, the engine power is the same. The fuel capacity, therefore, is the same. The maximum speed is the same. The cargo capacity is bigger, and the empty weight is a little bigger. Those are the only differences. That's our setup with the trucks. Pretty simple. Then we have a bunch of warehouses. The left warehouse is always with crops, and the right one is without crops. Pretty simple. It's all the same everywhere. Here. I probably closed that too fast, but yeah, we're buying crops in all of these. Plus, the fuel stations all only have 14 liters of fuel in them, or 14 tons of fuel in them. Honestly, I'm not worried about them in this case, because what I care about is the fuel consumption per trip, not the fuel consumption per cargo that you put on it. That is a different question. That's not what we're answering, because the distribution office from last time was trying to refill a certain amount, and it doesn't always fit a full biggest truckload. Sometimes it needs to be a smaller truck, and that's what we're trying to figure out here, if that's even possible, if that's even feasible. All the trucks now have the same setup, and I'll show you what that looks like. They're gonna leave the depot, drive all the way down here, drive all the way up there, drive all the way down here, all the way up there, and back to the depot. Once they're back in the depot, we will take the tally. And that is the best way I can figure out how to just tally these, and then we will see how they did. So pretty simple setup. Once they're all back in the depots, I will talk to you again. But for right now, just expect all of them to go straight to the fuel station, fuel up, and then they're not going to go back to the fuel station again until they make it to the depot. Okay, let's go. Actually, before we start, there's one thing I have to mention, because I just found that out the hard way. I had to set up all of these to load and unload nothing. Otherwise, they were too efficient and decided, hey, on my trip down here, there was nothing. On my trip out there, there's nothing, and so on. They will just go straight back to the depot and not drive anymore. And that's not what we want. Thanks, 3 Division, for making things more efficient and stuff, but that's not what I was looking for right now. So now we can start. All right, let's look at the results, shall we? And you may be surprised. I had to go back and check, but nobody refueled in between, so I know that for a fact. So we can ignore everything that's happened inside the gas station, because that's just filling up the fuel tank. So First things first, looking at the little small ones, they used approximately the same, but the one that carried cargo used just a slight bit more, which there's only a really tiny amount that they carry, so keep that in mind. But they did use some. They started with 280, and they are 204, 205 now. So they used about 75 liters, approximately. Got it. Okay, the next size up. They started with 380, and now they are at about 229-ish. So they used about 151 liters. Almost double as the first one, but the capacity is about, well, four times that. So, well, there's some reasoning behind it. The next one here, we started at 612, and now we're at almost 380, 387. So they used about 234. I'm using the one with cargo because the one without cargo shouldn't happen that much in game, so keep that in mind. So they used about 234, plus the next Skoda, or you see something similar. The one with cargo used a little more again, and they both used a little more than the smaller trucks, but just a tiny bit more, not a lot more. So keep that in mind, but they used about 237 liters. So what does that mean? Well, let's open up all of these just side by side so we can compare them a little easier, and I want to look at a couple other things. But I hope at this point you already have gotten the gist of what's going on here. So this vehicle used the least amount of fuel and moves the fastest, but it probably moved the least amount of product. But that doesn't matter if you can move a lot. This one is somewhere in between, is really slow, but you're essentially paying for what the weight is and the engine power. Now the engine power and weight is very close to this guy, which is why I think we see that the increase now is, it's about a third more, I guess. So yeah, we can look at this, and please, someone, if you have the numbers, if you have a Steam post that talks about this, let's talk about what the kilowatts and the weight actually means for the fuel consumption and what you should aim for. There may have already been one out there. I think I may have seen one that was very similar to that already. But yeah, so what we see is different trucks definitely have different consumption and different applications. What does that really mean? Well, a small truck like this that can only move this many electronics may be just fine for a distribution office that only concentrates on electronics delivery to different shops in your area. And if you have 2 or 3 of these, you may be able to handle most of your cities already just with this one, because electronics don't have a high consumption. Would this work for crops? Absolutely not. And so on. So these trucks have different uses, which is really what I wanted to look into. And now that I have the answer, I am happy and satisfied, and I can continue to the next test or tutorial, which will be a better distribution office setup. Hope you guys watched that. I'm planning on having that out tomorrow. If you're in the future, then it would have been out already. So you can just watch it right after this. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something, and I gave you some inspiration for what to think about or how to do things, what to change in your Republic, because this game is so full of details that you don't even know, even after 1,000 hours, that it's just worth continue playing. That's all. And we're in early access. Can you imagine? We're still in early access. It's at least another year. There's so much more coming. But thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you again next time. Bye.